I often say you just have to describe something once or hear something one time. So I mentioned Yesenia, who gave consent to share her voice in the conversation, so thank you. It's been I think it's been a day, so there's been nothing. So the conversation did truly stop trauma. And I think she'd be open to suggestions, but yes, suicide is probably outside of her scope, and yet, if a patient harps on it, realize that perhaps you need to listen to what is causing it. If it's the office policies, why not make a small adaptation to realize if a patient demonstrates similar behavior saying, suicide, hello, because I learned this methodology to describe it. I learned a methodology to describe it to make the best decisions for herself, which is to confront the people that need to know because they need to stop. Then why isn't that just good best practices? All right, anyway, this is on YouTube now, which means I'm going to use that space to put all visuals connected to, she is supervising manager of Aurora Advocate. Got to keep these doctors in. Yes.
It's weird.
All right.
And here's the other thing, too.
Sometimes if you don't remember the word, just give up. It's perfectly fine. That's a really good strategy.
Like, they've got to perform like their circus class. You know what I mean?
All right, this is somebody in the past going, I have to be on all the time. On? What does that mean? Her frustration would bubble up, and I'm like, you're like losing your mind. I'm watching you have meltdowns over these days, and then all of a sudden, conversation. Let's get out of Chicago. Let's go to London, because I think Chicago. Well, I'm going to revise my thinking. I don't think Chicago is the problem. It's what you allow yourself to be okay with once you're exposed to something different. And the first thing I noticed in Chicago is people are really weird here. It's not like my hometown. They talk about your race a lot.
One of the topics I'll be discussing is goal setting. And tonight, I just needed to post my first podcast, which will be 11/1, which was something I found out was a significant date, and also the 111 of that address that was the teachers union, because I had to remember these numbers and street names. And so tomorrow we make that phone call to ask about VA home and talk about the first seed for bullying. When you put a gun in someone's face, they're going to remember it. So I was able to remove all of that by being very anti-gun violence and being very much like no guns. So that was one I could not confront the fear and say, listen, I'm all into guns because someone put a gun in. And then somebody used weapons, guns and to show me how they could kill animals. To be threatened. So, wow, what a tough guy. Internet to say I'm going to kill everyone. These are things I've never shared with people, and I'm like, oh my God, these are dark thoughts.
Right, I didn't realize that this was what's going to happen. I didn't realize that this was going to happen, but it did. What was going to happen was I was going to get clear, and so the next thing you'll listen to, 3 minutes, 26 seconds is how it ends, because I didn't expect to share this, but I will, because you don't have access. You showed me something that's really disturbing and taught me what not to, and taught me something to avoid, even though I didn't know what exactly it was, but anytime I felt it, walk away, and why, I knew exactly the decisions I made and can explain. So that kind of stops traumatic brain injury, because I have some confidence that no matter what happens, as long as I have trust in my words like I do now, the evidence is I created it, it's all over the internet, then really, what am I afraid of? That they have to answer the question? Yeah, because they're scary, because they don't have rational thought. They don't have a good strategy, so they go with things like what they did. So the stress that was created by the, miscommunication between the office and myself regarding some pretty serious matters when I say suicide and who's my doctor and what happened, created enough, whatever you want to call it, for me to say exactly what the issue is. So that's the problem. It will happen, and instead of self-harming or doing something unhealthy, I just share it, which is something that is not something I want to do ever. And yet, yeah, okay, so that's it. So I can match up the numbers, the dates now, that this is what was created. So the extent of harm was stated that you're fucking with my traumatic brain injury. How many calls does one have to make? So is that professional? No, it's actually not very professional at all to treat someone like that. So it created a problem. And I'm really glad things are summed up now, but that it does not diminish the fact that, okay, I had to go someplace really dark. And if that's what was happening because I was so underweight, then that's it. and then this Asian stereotype that rekindled a memory. That's consent in like a really basic way. And then what? This sort of, I don't call it an obsession, but an apology. And this apology, man, it was good. So I've based my entire life on how to apologize and shared it with people. This is how an apology works. I still didn't get it. And now I realize what the psychology is. So thanks. Now I can correct it because it's not helpful. Not healthy, not helpful, and doesn't work for me anymore. I've already known this, and that's why, okay, I get it. I get what I do to diminish and erase whatever trauma there is. And the people that will reconnect with me will be the ones that understand that, yeah, this is the result of violence in 2012, 13, 14, 15. It continued until just recently, in my opinion, because I'm able to now think of paragraphs. Wow, great. You know how much time it's taken me to share a coherent thought? All right, I hear it. Yeah. Anyway,
I will drop the seeds for art.
that's
Trauma
this month.
cannot
This
survive
month.
when there is
Last
art.
month.
The word is true.
But had
Trauma.
gradually over time. And what I
Come on,
say is
open
no
pages
captions
last
on the
time.
TV.
Trauma.
anymore.
For the first time ever, first and last time.
I can hear the dialogue. I can kind of follow it, but I get fatigued from it super easily. It does help if I wear the glasses.
That's the first time. In England,
Trauma.
London, of course.
Natural
Natural enemy.
barrier.
So just to feel safe
Is
in
art.
Just write. Try to write in places because I was not triggering.
And like
Trauma
I said,
has a
it's
hard
really
time.
important sheep. Did it
There is
Scotland.
real
It was
art.
really important.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. I'm just trying to get our podcast for 11/1. So a couple things about the next thing you're going to hear. One, this was a very positive conversation with someone. And it is true that I'm trying to exhibit every strategy that I possibly can with the knowledge. So if the point of PTSD is to eventually get to the origin of trauma or triggers and such, then I just said it. He would say his plan when I couldn't speak. He thought he broke me because I didn't have a voice. He left. He said he had to go home and do work. Completely lost my voice. That's why he thought he broke me, and that's why he just let it all out. He could do whatever he
I
wanted.
got your message. You wanted me to give you a call back.
Yeah, did you call once or twice, first of all, in the past week?
I think I called like a couple, more than 2 times.
No, I don't think so. The office actually, well, let me double check. I'm not saying from November 1st on, when you received, after we talked, how many times have you called me after we spoke and got the message?
Okay, give me a second here. Let me go
Yeah, because I have information from Advocate that told me how many times, and maybe you have a computer glitch over there. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
We'll find out.
Let's see here.
So after November 1st, that was the last phone call I got from you, and then my phone did come in with some information, but I just want to know from you, how many times?
Okay, I can't really, I have to go through these messages and see. So,
Okay, I don't mind.
Is there something I can help you with?
No, I don't
understand
mind.
you have some questions.
I don't mind waiting for that because, like I said, if we identified a computer issue with Advocate Computer Center, I mean, this is important when you're dealing with somebody that, you know, you told me to call you back. So I don't mind waiting to see how many times you called me. If you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, again, so you said, we last spoke, right? And you said, I sent a message to Dr. Crisea. You were waiting on Luke's call, which is the manager. So he attempted to call you as well.
So did he call, when you say attempt to call, he attempted to get in touch with me, but did he actually call?
Oh, he did. Here, I'll tell you. Where
Okay,
did
yeah,
he
tell
leave
me
that
what
message?
dates and stuff. Let me correspond it with my technology because that's verifiable.
That was October 31st is when he returned your call.
Okay.
So I called you on the 23rd, 31st. Let's see here, 31st.
Okay. I'm actually going to make some notations as we talk.
So
Luke Williams called me on the 31st, and that was the only call from Luke. The 31st called and left a message, or just called?
Well, because that was per our discussion. You said you were waiting on a call from a male manager, and so I relayed the message, and he called you. I believe he called you back in August as well, when there was some miscommunication, misunderstanding here with how you were outreaching to Dr. Crisea. So.
August. Okay. Well, again, if you could provide those dates, I'll write them down and we can move on. So you think August, or you said October 31st for sure, and then August when? Thank you. I really don't mind waiting, so don't worry about that.
No, not August. It was April 4th, 2023.
Why would he?
Sorry.
What, he called me April 4th?
There was some back and forth messaging between you, Dr. Versteap, and our nurse, and the messages weren't clear. So he was asked to reach out to you to see if he can assist.
Got it. Okay. Let me just write that down. Williams was asked to reach out because notes were... Okay, so again, communication was unclear. Okay, the thing is, I think I discussed it with you, is the communication between my doctor and I was simply, Dr. K, is it okay to get the emails printed? Because we had been in discussion for at least a month about how the PT office was not capable of printing the records, even though I went there, was willing to pay for it, like had all the information, and then it changed. So again, when there's those changes, even if it's a positive change, it really F's you up because you're like, wait a minute, no, step by step I did this. So now I got to go back and start from the beginning and let my body know, like, this will not happen again. Little mistakes happen, but it does feel like a flat out lie. So that was the discussion with the doctor. She said, let the office know to print out the records and you can use those, and then we'll completely abandon the physical therapist part. And I said, that's fine. I still need to reach out to Megan and Kay because I like to follow through with what I said. We had a lot of discussions about a couple things in their office. And that was how I left it with Dr. K. I went to the office and said, well, until Dr. K gives permission to print them, we can't print them. So I said, okay. I let the doctor know that and just said, well, the office says that they need an okay from you. I do believe that's in the LiveWell app, communications back and forth. And then the next thing I know, I heard nothing. So I decided to go to the office.
This is what we discussed when you and I last spoke. The doctor has no authority the patient has to give authorization.
I get that. But these are emails. But listen, this is the thing. When I went to the office, and I don't mean to shout, but there's no reason to keep talking because it is noise, like audio noise in my head. So if you think I'm getting rude, just let me know and I will work on it. But then my voice gets a little scattery. So we did discuss that. But the point is to have a doctor then abandon and then be told I have a new doctor. So do you see how, to me, anyone could look at it as, well, instead of addressing the issue, I just got a new doctor because the office said none of those emails exist anymore. And as you can tell, what's in the emails is suicide, is saying, why is this happening? You know, are you effing with my traumatic brain injury, which I hate to say like that because I'm not trying to say I have a traumatic brain injury, poor me, but I'm saying this is a doctor's office. They should be able to deal with the diagnosis and understand what those symptoms are, because again, I'm updating y'all on my physical recovery and I don't know if I'm supposed to do it anymore. Now I have a new doctor and you told me that doctors can't just drop you as a patient. So the question we had was, are you going to talk to Luke? He's supposed to get back to me? Because all you said is you can reach out to us at any time, and I did. And 2 times, I don't know if you know this, but the last times I called, I went to a call center. But there's been at least 2 times I've called you twice in a day, and it goes to the Wicker Park office, and they actually say, well, let me see if she's there. Oh, it doesn't. Well, both times, though. Well, I don't know if that's new, Yesenia, but I don't know if that's new, but both times, I don't know if I have their names or anything, but because I did notice there's a lot of new people, like, wow, there's a lot of new people in the office. But both times they sent you a message saying, let me hold on if she's available. And 2 times during those phone calls, I was told you left the office for the day. So then I was like, well, what time does the office close? So then I would call back a little earlier. And again, this is like everything. In order to run my not-for-profit, in order to be a successful person, you got to have days and times, and you got to be able to keep your phone on to get messages as an advocate. So if I can't do this skill, then I cannot do this job. So I am accepting that there are some things that I just won't be able to do. And you don't know me well enough to know that I don't give up on anything until the evidence is very clear, like this isn't working. So the conversation I left with you was, is Luke going to investigate why I was dropped by 2 doctors? And it does seem when I ask questions, I get dropped. Or are you going to do that? So that was what I wanted to call you back about, because I do know we discussed a lot of stuff. I said maybe I can get a friend to help me with the phone numbers and filling out the form. And yet, you know what? As soon as I said that, I thought that's probably not going to work. I'm trying to be super positive here. But no, I'm not capable of sharing this with too many people, because I found that when you share how bad it is, people will take advantage, and they take advantage in really crummy ways, as you can imagine. So I like to keep this super private. And I don't want to rely on a friend who knows what's going on because she's in Michigan. I should be able to get this help from the people at the office or my doctor. So picking up from where we left off, who is investigating or who's going to let me know why I was dropped 2 times? And also, we did discuss the email thing, and you gave me a number to call about the emails. Can you call on my behalf and just say, how does this girl get her emails printed? I give you full-on permission and consent to talk for me since my doctor is no longer available.
Yeah, so that's actually against policy. I would not be able to. Patients have to either you obviously have to sign to give that consent. They can walk you through. And we spoke before. I was listening to you, and I want to correct a few things here. Because at no point did I say that these providers drop you. So that's incorrect. And I do have an explanation. I wasn't aware. I didn't know if you spoke to Luke or not. But I do have an answer for you as to what happened with the change of provider. Initially, when we spoke, we were under the impression, because the provider was changed, that you just seek another provider. I then spoke with you, and you clarified that that was not the case. So we looked into that a little bit further, and what happened was, given your insurance, there was a data conversion process with providers, and I guess you used to see a provider, here, let me get the name, by the name of Dr. Merrick, whoever that is, was a provider of yours at some point in the past. And so what this analyst explained was they did a APP data conversion process, and they were directed to assign all those patients that were seeing Dr. Merrick to assign them to Dr. Salvia, who was the doctor in you were seeing and we were seeing. I did explain to them the patient, has never seen this provider, so she wishes to continue following Dr. Garcia. So that's been resolved. This is just a system change because of the provider you last had a while back.
Great.
So your doctor is Dr. Garcia. No doctor dropped you. It's just a reassignment because of the insurance. You have they were assigned you to, I guess, used to follow the Merrick doctor, but
so you got this information, and that was the information. Were you calling me back because I called you, or you were calling me to give me that information? Because that was the point. You were going to investigate.
Both.
And that doesn't explain Dr. Rowley. Dr. Rowley was the first one who absolutely dropped me because he said, go get another doctor, and left the appointment.
I wasn't aware of that conversation. But
No, that was the first time. That's why I said this is a pattern. No, I'm pretty sure we did discuss it. I talked extensively about Dr. Rowley. And that was why I was like, I didn't know that could happen. So when I kept saying it happened twice. So thank you for the explanation for Dr. Marak. Okay. So I do have Dr. Kaseyeth. Thank you very much for that. But then how does that explain Dr. Rowley?
I can't speak for Dr. Rowley. He's no
retired.
Longer with us.
Right, because he's retired. Right.
So
and is that why he did it? Because he knew?
Is Dr. Kaseyeth is your assigned primary care provider per your wish. Again, it was, misunderstanding, communication, I guess, where we saw a different doctor's name. We maybe thought, you seeked, healthcare from another provider. After speaking with you, we confirmed that wasn't the case. We, dug into it a little deeper, and we came to to get our answer. So,
great.
Yes, but as
Did you
of now,
call me to
be
leave
clear,
that
Dr. K's your
message?
doctor.
When you called me you still have to give me the 2 or more times you called me after November 1st. Don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
Did you call me with the intention to explain the hiccup with the doctor, or was it just to return my phone calls because I was calling incessantly?
Returning your phone call, and it said you had questions. I was assuming it maybe was related to that. And
so you assumed Luke reached out to explain the thing. That was the whole point. Who's going to reach out to me and explain it? No, I don't think he did. That's what I mean.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So this is a miscommunication between you, Luke, and recognizing who's supposed to tell me what. So thank you for the information. If Dr. Rowley just did that knowing he's going to retire, Dr. Kaseyeth from the very beginning knew that was why I was seeing her as a doctor, because I said, I was seeing this doctor, now I'm going to see you, and this is what happened. That's how we discovered that he didn't have all my diagnosis in there. But the focus is physical. So I want to make sure that the physical trail of my recovery is in my medical records, because quite frankly, psychiatry stuff is kind of dangerous, as you know. And Dr. Kaseya told me she was a lawyer previously, so she totally understands what I was saying, because a lot of people don't have a voice if they get into a legal matter when it's emphasized your psychosis or your psychology versus your physical recovery, which is what I've been documenting and really trying to emphasize. So that to me, I don't want to say is a problem, but do you see what I'm saying? How a doctor's opinion really matters in this area?
No, I understand, but if it's not within her scope and doctor's not comfortable with providing that.
I'm talking about the fact that in my medical records that I cannot read at the moment, I like to make sure, and this is not the emails, those are separate, I like to make sure that there's documentation that I'm physically recovering and what's happening, because I give her functional updates and I continue to do so. That's why I sent those last email with the photos to be like, am I supposed to be updating you? But I wanted to continue to update myself.
Right.
Because I need to know.
Okay, so that's discrimination, picking things. I'm just gonna throw it away. I know. You could use it for something, maybe. Disabled, like a disability, I don't know. But you know what? It's not worth it to figure out. I wanna throw this away too. Why? It's rusty. Actually, no, can we use this? Yeah, it's so purposeful. Save that. Not sure what this is a part of. Maybe the Brita? A key. These keys don't have anywhere to go. And any other trash? I don't think so. Issues. Let's go.
And I just said, well, that was the point. You guys work with this recovery thing. I was recommended to your healthcare system after. So I don't know if that's like you guys have a relationship there, but actually I would totally promote that for that issue. I'm just letting her know physically, how do you want to proceed? So you're right. Clinically, she should be giving me an exam, except that we agreed on our first appointment because I told her this is where Dr. Rowley and I won't say that. He left the appointment and told me to get another doctor. So I wanted to pick up where him and I left off. The moment he left was when he did not identify my diagnosis. So again, if a doctor isn't identifying a diagnosis that I'm sending from previous hospital, that doctor didn't read appropriately. I am going to stop this here for a second because of the fact that this is exactly what I focused on and what bubbled up. So the memory is on the back of a printed piece of paper, handwritten, of why the reading is such a big deal. And I said it and I caught it. They didn't read the reports. They read nothing. They just decided to go with their ideas. So I come with a document, just like the IEP. So that's why it's so extra triggering. It's the same thing in education. They're doing the exact same thing. They didn't read, and they didn't interpret, and they didn't listen, and they clearly didn't write accurately. Whatever his frustration was with me, because he asked me to make a list of what I needed to get done, and it was an attempt to help me organize. And I said to him, yeah, you're right. That's the symptom of the traumatic brain injury. It's not a psychosis or schizophrenia or some psychiatric thing. It's literally, I've been living with this. It has gotten better. If you want to see the history that I've been documenting since 2015, that was when I was assaulted a second time. That was when PTSD happened, and that's when the symptoms of all these other things from the previous assault got way worse. And I thought, oh my God, it's like accelerating. So I started documenting it. I don't expect a doctor to go look through my personal social media to see to make assessments on, oh, she's better based on this alone. But that was the point of the email trail, is because these are written samples and voice samples of my life getting better. I don't need to show you samples of my note taking and what I did to achieve, whatever before this, but you can tell instantly my writing is 100% different, which I'm glad the office then decided to reach out to make sure how is this person communicating, because it's super unclear. I agree. But the point also is you can see a progression from Dr. Rowley, who I have no emails from, clearly because he's retired. You can see the progression from there to today, in my opinion, and that is what I'm utilizing to build a methodology to help others. Because if you don't know this, the effective treatment for PTSD is prolonged exposure therapy or a writing program. Before I start researching these things, I need to be able to read well and read accurately and take notes. So that's physical. Note taking is a physical thing. So I just want to make sure that, as I said, you also recognize that the behavior of Rowley and also this little miscommunication between why was I given a new physician, thank you for the explanation, just say, hey, you have a patient with traumatic brain injury or PTSD. Would you consider making small changes? And that was the issue I wanted to talk to you about. After we discuss things, what happens is I come up with a bunch of new ideas and things kind of, thank God, because my brain is working. So I really appreciate the conversation. But then afterwards I thought, would this office or healthcare system be interested in understanding maybe some strategies with the few patients? Assaults happen to under 4% of the population, so you're not going to come across a bunch of them. But the few that you come across, because of your marketing, talking about how you care about difference, to me that's the most different thing that people need to realize, because you can't see it, and people will immediately think psychology versus, oh, she had an assault, her physical brain has changed, which you can't see. So anyway, I'm going on a tangent. I guess I'm just saying, do you want to have those policy ideas? Because that's where I picked up with the physical therapist office. Did you want to know some things that could help your physical therapist? Because while I don't blame them individually, I have to look at it as the company might not be giving them a heads up on some things when they come across patients with multiple issues. Which is the primary issue? The issue between the therapist is that they kept picking and choosing my diagnosis that kind of fit their narrative. And I said, okay, instead of doing that, this doesn't seem like a good idea. And I just recorded to them that it was becoming more severe, like I was losing ability to know directionality. I have to really work. I don't want to go into like the amount of time I work on each of these strategies just to leave my house and to get somewhere on time. But I could tell it was failing. And I said, the more I come to this office, the more severe my symptoms are. So I have to stop coming here. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop communicating with them, because as an advocate and as someone with PTSD, I don't want to say it's severe, but it's gotten to the point where the fear is really that this is going to keep happening. So while I feel like I got out of that situation that was harming, the next person that goes there is going to experience the same thing. So why wouldn't it be better to just let the people that are doing it, hey, this doesn't help, and your philosophy makes it worse? Because, I don't want to say like you made a little assumption, but you did say, did Luke get in touch with you? I didn't know if he got in touch with you about this. I guess it would have been easier for you just to say, hey, did you talk to Jamie? And then she's calling me. Just double check. Again, maybe she's unclear, but that's why I want to emphasize, if you're leaving me a message with the information I was requesting, fine. If it was just to return the phone calls, and there's a little communication issue, and I guess as an advocate or as a previous educator, I'm the type of person where, hey, if this information can help you, I'm not trying to be judgmental, but it hurt me, and it hurt me enough for me to say something. I'm not the person to just take the information and walk away. I like to take the information and look at it like this is a purpose. Yesenia called me back. We had a great conversation. But then the aftermath of it is, with PTSD, is I know it will pop up again unless everything comes out. And I think I'm at that point where everything is out, because I literally just felt a change in my body. It went from like this heavy feeling to this very lightweight feeling, and my neck pain just stopped. So that is why I know symptomatically. I don't know if you ever do data collection or work with kids or people that you have to keep like really extensive notes with, but this is what I've been doing automatically. So now I know this was the right choice, and that hopefully this will be our last conversation, because you got the information, and I will get your answer now if you're willing to listen to those policy changes regarding one patient, but also recognizing anything that helps one patient can help everyone.
So I think, and I hear you, and I do apologize if you felt, there was a miscommunication there. So I'm glad we came to, we got you the answer you were looking for in respect to change of providers.
That's perfect.
So, but again, I do apologize for that. Luke is not in the office every day here. He runs 3 offices. I called you November 9th and November 10th. But there was no answer, so.
Okay, let me just double check something then. So you made 2 phone calls after the first?
Yes.
Okay, that is actually what the advocate also determined. So I will say that I have 1 voice message from you that I do see here on Thursday. I just don't see the other one you said, but that's okay. Maybe, it's fine. I don't want to get focused on it. And the other thing I'll say, unfortunately, is it's like a bad habit, but it's a good bad habit, is I always have to follow up. But it really isn't about emotion. It really isn't. My feelings don't matter. It's not about how I feel. It's about addressing the suicide and my body. And that's really it. So thank you for saying that. But I don't want I appreciate it. It makes me feel good in the moment. I just want to make sure that I say that because I oftentimes will leave a conversation and then all of a sudden something somebody said makes me feel bad. And I'm like, well, why is that? It's always just attempting to do something different because the body is so stuck in these like habits and violence.
Right.
And it does feel like, unfortunately, I did warn the doctor. I just said I have like this spidey sense. So if something's bullshitting, I will feel it. And then my mind catches up later. And then I have to make the assessment whether or not to reach out or not. So Dr. Kaseyeth and I might have a different relationship based on how I got to see her from Dr. Rowley. But absolutely, the email thing is the biggest issue. This again, I cannot believe I mentioned it. So Yesenia did a great job. I really did repeat myself, but that's the thing. If it pops up, I let it out because I made that automatic. I was not speaking. And I know for sure because in CBT, when I was told, wow, I was really excited when you finally spoke. I was wondering what you were going to say, and you make me want to come back every week, and I was hoping that you would talk to me. It's like, okay, well, I don't know. I guess there's something powerful with voice sometimes. Anyway, I'm really excited that although I am hearing myself and it's a bit mortifying, Yesenia was a safe space to speak into, and she offered a really great opportunity to get every question answered. And I have to be honest, besides the suicide bit, the rating where that should have been the priority, I said it in there. So it's true. Whatever will bubble up, because I wrote a card saying thank you, but then I noticed, wait, I was disappointed with not taking suicide seriously. What I'm noticing is I'm listening, attending, and I transfer
Interested.
digital landscape to a physical.
I'm interested.
So that's
This is
just
curious.
So you can't be unhappy
Anyway,
about that. You're looking
all
for
right,
lots
well, I
of
can't record
improvement
anymore.
along the way. It's very hard for people to stay on top of quite the sea of white. So we're going to listen to some, and if I remember it, we'll delete it. See if there's any recall. 11:45 p.m. I don't remember. Looking back, I can see that I just was recording. That's a trigger. I'm containing it. And then I can stop it when I can label it. Because I'm saying label your folders and your files, not people. Really? That's what is compulsing me? The compulsion to do this? Also, when I see these two words, delete forever, something else popped up automatically. I'm going to play it now. Thank you. Okay. I've never liked it when somebody apologizes with a gift or Oh God. Well, yeah, of course.
All right, I can hear the sound. Turn the sound on finally of something I've been doing for a very long time.
I don't remember.
Maybe you can hear it. Maybe you know exactly where in the universe I am. Anyway.
Oh yeah. That's the first time I heard that sound to dampen that. Ugh, that's what I'm saying.
This is the method.
Can we find like real hobbies and crap?
Because you get it out. This is your one opportunity. She's not going to be on the phone forever, and she certainly might not call you back.
Oh yeah, that's the
Just
point.
needs to get an idea of what's happening, right? Because the three things that really matter is the suicide. I don't think there's empathy there.
The suicide,
Let me listen to it
exactly.
next time. I also don't think she understood the policy with PTSD or disability.
Okay, that was after the first conversation. The second conversation, fine. She's not trained to listen for it. That's not within her scope. It's not her fault. She did a great job still.
I found some information. I labeled it. This is the longest. I did so December 28th, 2022. Created 8:16 p.m., modified 9:16 p.m., same day. It is 1 hour.
1 hour.
Oh, you know what? I already set the time. 2 hours and something.
I don't know what this is, just math practice. I recorded a couple times to be like, okay, it's bubbling up. And I don't know any more about these
This is just to state that October 17th at 11:45 p.m., I was able to put all the triggers away, and hopefully tomorrow we can start with a new day.
Great, so yeah, I mean, you gotta stay positive. Maybe I should have finished it. No, I'm not. That was a long time ago. A month ago, the 17th of October. That's Nate Smiley again. Why you don't want to be in someone's PTSD memory. Seriously, do your hardest to not do that. Trash. You can pick that up at Parkside of Old Town and near North Community. Because again, we have an annual budget meeting coming up, and this is the place to put my voice in to say, isn't it different? So here's my list of questions, or here's a slideshow, what's easiest. I'm going to go through each and every one. Also, I'm going to make a note of the questions that are the ones I asked on the board with the emails that go with it, with corresponding emails that go with it, all right? I don't know if I have to save all of this or what, but I need to get through this gigantic mountain of material like I used to. But the adrenaline was way different then, so I'm trying to recreate that, respond to. So it's so much better, and yet, wow, the trauma really does go away, the good and the bad. You're kind of left with nothing. I kind of like it. Well, this is different.